In this lesson, I am going to show you how to graph a parabola when the equation is in vertex form. We will look at how to find each of the four key features when the equation is in the form y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. The first feature of the equation, y equals 1/2 times the quantity x minus 3 squared minus 2, that we're going to find is the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is a vertical line that will go through the vertex in the middle of the parabola. Since it's a vertical line, the equation is x equals some number, and in this case the number is the value of h. If you look at the equation for vertex form, you can see that h is whatever number is being subtracted from the x in the parentheses. In this example, 3 is being subtracted from x, so the axis of symmetry is x equals 3. All we need to do now is sketch the line before moving on to the vertex. X equals 3 is the vertical line where every point has an x coordinate equal to 3. The easiest way to graph this is to plot the point 3, 0 on the x-axis and just draw the vertical line through it. Next, we need to identify the vertex of the parabola. To do this, we need to identify h and k in the equation, because the vertex is the point hk. We already know how to identify h, the value that is subtracted from the x, so we know the vertex is the point 3 something. If you look at the form above, you can see that k is the number being added outside the parentheses. In our example, we have a minus 2. So we can think of it as adding a negative 2, meaning k equals negative 2. Now we know our vertex is the point 3, negative 2, which we can plot on our graph. The only question now is whether the vertex is a max point or a min point. For this, we'll look at the value of a, the number in front of the parentheses. Since a is positive, the parabola will open up, so the vertex is a min point. This is an easy thing to remember, because if you're feeling positive, you smile. And that's what a parabola with a positive a looks like, a smile. The next feature we need to find is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is on the y-axis, which means it is a point with 0 as the x-coordinate. So we need to substitute 0 in for x in the equation. Now we have the equation y equals 1/2 times the quantity 0 minus 3 squared minus 2. As we simplify this to solve for y, we have 0 minus 3, which is negative 3. Negative 3 squared is a positive 9, giving us y equal to 1/2 times 9 minus 2. 1/2 of 9 is 4.5, so now we have 4.5 minus 2, which is 2.5, giving us the point 0, 2.5 as the y-intercept. So we plot that point on the graph. Finally, we need to find the x-intercepts. X-intercepts are points on the x-axis, so the y-coordinates equal 0. To find the x-intercepts, or zeros, we substitute 0 in for y and solve for x. The equation we get, 0 equals 1/2 times the quantity x minus 3 squared minus 2, is a quadratic equation. But because of the form it's in, we don't need to solve it by factoring or the quadratic formula. Here's how we'll do it. We're going to get the x minus 3 squared by itself first. So we'll add 2 to both sides to get 2 equals 1/2 times the quantity x minus 3 squared. Then we'll multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of the 1/2 in front of the parentheses. Now that x minus 3 squared is all by itself, we're going to undo the square by square rooting both sides of the equation. When we square root the 4, we need to include both the positive and the negative square roots, 2 and negative 2, in order to get the two roots of the equation. Remember, every quadratic equation has two roots. Now that we know x minus 3 equals 2 or x minus 3 equals negative 2, we can add 3 to undo the minus 3. 2 plus 3 is 5, and negative 2 plus 3 is 1. So x equals 5 or 1. Now we know that the two x-intercepts are 5, 0 and 1, 0. We'll plot these on the graph and label them with z's because they show us the zeros. It doesn't matter which one you call z1 or z2 though. Notice that the x-intercepts are each 2 spaces away from where the axis of symmetry crosses the x-axis. That's because the parabola has symmetry. If the x-intercepts you find are not evenly spaced on either side of the axis, then you know you did something wrong. Finally, all we have to do is connect the points we have with a curve, and we are finished graphing the parabola.